Chapter 3. The Battle Begins. When they got back to the tower, they held a meeting to explain to Ben the plan. "So, we're attacking tomorrow?" asked Ben. "That's the plan," said Charles, looking at the holographic map of Mars on a table. "So, just so I know, what is everyone's job in the attack plan?" said Ben, now leaning towards the map from the couch he was seated on. "My job is to run in and kill everything in my path," said Oliver as he threw a glowing chair across the room. But when it reached the wall, it disappeared. "I keep the party alive," said James, seated down on a chair at the end of the table. "I don't know if I'm going or not," said Justin, seated beside Ben. "If I do, then I will just do whatever job needs to be fulfilled." "I protect the party," said Charles, zooming in on the map. "I mainly just provide support," said Will. Sitting on the other side of the couch was Charles. "And I kill from the shadows," said Logan, leaning against the wall in the darkest corner he could find. "There we are," said Charles, looking at a floating ring-like structure. "That's the target." "What is it?" said Ben, almost falling off the couch from leaning in too much. "That is where the Queen is," said James, standing up and moving the map himself. As he did, Ben could see other metal buildings surrounding the giant floating ring. James stopped on what looked like a tower with a huge cannon on top. "That is how we get in. We will have to go in with stealth and not brute force like we usually do." "What?" said Oliver, about to chuck another chair. "What do you mean we can't run in and kill everything in sight?" "Because this time we're dealing with a threat that knows we're coming," said James calmly and turning to Oliver, who still had the glowing chair in his hand. "How does that stop us?" said Oliver, trying to calm down himself, but still gripping the chair hard in his hand. "We should go," whispered Justin to Ben as he got up and carefully headed to the door. Ben followed him, and before he closed the door, he could see Oliver raising the chair up in the air, but he didn't hear a thud of any kind. Justin led Ben onto a balcony and sat on the railing. "So, are you going to tell me what you can do or not?" said Justin, reminding Ben what he said after the fight. "Oh, right," said Ben. "One question first. Are you a visual learner or no?" "I could be taught either way." "Oh, good. That makes things easier for me," said Ben as he jumped off the balcony, landing on the air. "Now," said Ben, like what he did just now was no big deal, "do you want the long answer or the short one?" Said Justin, a little surprised but not too much, as though he is getting used to the weirdness of Ben. "How long is the long version?" "All night," said Ben as he looked at the setting sun. "Then the long version will be fine." "Alright then. So, I'm pretty much a wizard?" "Right. But I'm also a warrior." "I could tell by the way you handled that a katana of yours," said Justin, hoping he didn't make Ben mad at him for almost saying sword. "Thanks. Also, you're, like, really strong for a little guy. How are you so strong anyway?" You could say I got friends in hidden places helping me out. Also, you're avoiding the reason we're here right now," said Justin, getting up and standing on the rails. "Fine. Then let's do it like this. I ask a question, then you ask a question. Sound fair?" said Ben as he extends his hand out. "Okay, fair enough," said Justin, grabbing Ben's hand and pulling him back into the balcony so he could sit down and talk at one of the tables there. They talked for a while, even after the sun set down for the night. Once all was said and done, they understood what each other could do, and came up with a few battle plans for what was to come. When they were done talking, they went to get something to eat. They fell asleep on one of the mats scattered across the tower. "Feels like I'm back home," said Ben, getting comfortable on the mat. "When did you leave your home?" said Justin, putting his mat on a crate. "Yesterday," said Ben plainly. "Yesterday? So, is this your first time in another world then?" "Yep. I could go and sleep in my bed, but I already said I was going to another town to live my life. But I really just needed an excuse to leave and use my powers elsewhere," said Ben, putting his katana an arm's length from himself. "Wait, so you lied to your family just to go to another world?" "Well, it's not that simple," said Ben, knowing it sounded pretty bad the way he said it. "I couldn't tell them about my powers, or they might have..." Ben paused, thinking about the day he started to expand his understanding of his powers. Justin noticed that Ben's face looked guilty, or maybe just sadness, or both. It's fine. I get it, said Justin, knowing absolutely nothing about what Ben is talking about. If it helps, I had a hard time not that long ago, and you helped me remember what it was like to fight again. Thanks. Ben smiled, then rolled over on his mat and tried to sleep. Justin followed suit, and soon the sky will be filled with blood of the battle that was looming all over who knew about it. Ben stepped out of Justin's ship and was having trouble breathing all of a sudden. He walked onto the red sand, then made some oxygen for himself to breathe. As he went towards the rest of the group, he heard, "Logan, go on ahead. When we hear the first gunshot, we'll come over right away," said James, pointing to the giant floating blackish-green ring in the sky. "On it," said Logan as he ran off. "Justin, you're the fastest one out of all of us. Can you—" "I will," said Justin, cutting off James. "He's not the fastest," said Ben as he now stood right where Logan had been. "You're forgetting who won our little spar." "Is that a challenge?" said Justin, looking where Logan was running to. "How fast are you?" said Will, looking at Ben with curiosity. I think if I put my speed to its max, I think I can go 1,000 miles an hour," said Ben as he stretched his legs. Will looked as though he was at a loss for words. Then Charles said, "If that's true, you would have ended the battle with Justin in seconds, unless you were going easy on him." Ben looked at Oliver with a smirk and said, "Who says I wasn't?" James let a laugh and said, "That's rich. You didn't even touch him during your spar." "Then maybe now you'll see what I can do when I don't hold back," said Ben as he looked as Logan turned the corner around the cliff. "Soon I can smash something," said Oliver as he looked at his fist, which had some light blue sparks coming off of it. "Don't forget you have a gun this time, please," said Will with a look of disappointment in his face. Ben looked and saw the gun on Oliver's back. "What kind of gun do y'all have anyway?" "This is Huckleberry," said Oliver, patting his shoulder. It looked a lot like an auto rifle to Ben. "I use Sweet Business," said Charles, holding it like a machine gun, preparing himself. "I have Lumina," said James, drawing a hand cannon with some spikes on the barrel. "I fire with Lemonarch," said Will, pointing to the bow on their back. "Logan uses Dead Man's Tail, while I use Traveler's Chosen," said Justin, holding a sidearm on his hand. Ben remembered the rifle that Logan had on his back as he ran off. "Also," said Justin as he put the gun back in its holster, "did you really go easy on me?" "Well, Ben was cut off as they heard a bang from around the cliff. Justin flew into the air with a sword and wings of fire, flying straight for Logan, while everyone else ran. Ben was already there. He didn't teleport. He's just as faster than they are. Logan was on the cliffside, shooting what looked like really buff men, and they were twice as tall as Ben. But they had helmets that hid their face. He guessed these were the Cabal that James told him about. Ben drew his katana, and holding it with just his right hand, he used the other hand to create water. He made it float off the ground, moving it like a stream, a fast-flowing stream that could smack the wind right out of you. As Ben was moving the water to kill the Cabal, he also was running up to other Cabal and cutting them down to size with one swipe. As far as Ben was concerned, this was easier than killing slimes. Before Logan knew it, most of the Cabal were dead, and just as Justin arrived, before his wings vanished, he slashed the air with fire, sending it flying toward the air at a ship that was dropping off more Cabal. Ben saw the ship and noticed a fatal error in its design, so he moved the water over and made the water form into the shape of a giant sword, and cut the ship in half, then made the water disappear, just before the ship blew up into dust. Then the rest of the party came around the corner to help with the last of the Cabal. As the last Cabal was defeated, James yelled, "It looked like the Cabal are trying to build a cannon to bring down the Hive mothership. Someone get this launch pad up and running." Charles lifted a wrench that was way too big for him and put it where a lever was supposed to go. He and Oliver pushed it and the pad turned on. "Will, if we can get to that cannon, can you get us to that ship?" said James as he ran to the launch pad. Will responded with, "I can try, sir." "Wait!" Ben shouted as he skidded to a halt. "We just need to get to that ship, right?" "Yeah," said Justin as he looked at Ben, wondering what he's planning. "Well, then I'll just fly us up."